So someone asked, is Disney satanic? I don't make the questions, I just answer them. But you know, the first thing about this question, and it's sad isn't it sad? Anyone over the age of an undisclaimed number, isn't it sad that this is a question in a Bible Q&A, right? Isn't that just horrible that this has to be asked? Is anyone shocked that it's even asked? But the reality is that what is satanic? That's a great question to start things off, because that's something that gets thrown around a lot. That's of the devil, and it just kind of gets thrown out there. But in reality, is Disney satanic? Well, satanic, right? Is it influenced by Satan? Is it worshiping Satan? So when you ask someone, what do you mean by satanic? Here's what I'll say is Disney had some great roots. But with what's going on today, I'll just kind of jump to the where we're at now. Disney's definitely gone woke. I think it's hard to argue that one, right? It's pretty obvious that they are very pro with transgender stuff. If you don't have, Disney Plus, they have an entire LGBTQ playlist of shows to watch. So it's definitely woke. And wokeness, question, is, wow, what is wokeness, right? So here's the reality is there's kind of an interesting way of words. Being awakened, which is sad because revival, awakening, they're using our words against us. But the idea is, it was this idea of being awakened to the issues in the culture and the unfairness in the system. And there's all this stuff. So really, it's people who are woke. They've woken up to the horrible cultural, the one I want is not there, but the unfairness, not the right word, but, and so they're really pushing and promoting. You see all these, my brain is not working tonight with all the acronyms and whatnot I want to be using. The critical race theory and all this kind of stuff. This all plays in with the wokeness. And so it's pushing then, we need to be really pro. So you see Black Lives Matters. You see the LGBTQ movement. You see, these are things that are really pushing this, we need to fight back. And so we need to be in your face with all this stuff. And Disney's really grabbed onto that. They have. And so, is it satanic? Well, I'll say this. I think the wokeness movement, the spirit of wokeness, and I mean that in the sense of just the general influence. We use that phrase spirit. It's another one you got to define, because I'm not talking about one spirit who's named woke, but the general atmosphere, which is absolutely influenced in the spiritual realm of pushing this. I think another area, I'm getting off from Disney a little, but as we prayed this morning, as Roberta prayed for the stuff with Israel, it is insane. It is insane what these college kids and these college campuses are believing. And while I was in Israel having dinner with a Jewish family, they're actually non-practicing, they're secular Jews, but just sitting there and talking with them and saying, there are two sides of a coin. This is going to get back to Disney, don't worry. Of the evidence of God's existence. I said, you want to hear two of my favorite arguments. On one side of the coin, the fact that there is a Jewish people, because it's mind-blowing and it defies the laws of history, that there is a Jewish people. Many of the Native American tribes are dwindling, and they can barely speak their native languages after 200 years of being displaced. It's a reality. The Jewish people were displaced for 2,000 years. They're speaking the same language. They're practicing the same religion. They are the same people. It's unheard of anywhere by 10 times fold anywhere else in history. So they're them being kept. But the other side is the hatred of the Jews. I can't think of another people group on the planet that's ever been so universally hated throughout history. Everywhere they've gone, after the diaspora, after they're kicked out of Jerusalem, after they're kicked out of Israel, everywhere they went, they were hated. You could take away the Holocaust. That was actually what was in my mind as we were doing prayer this morning, is you could take the Holocaust off the table, and I still think if you knew all the atrocities and the mass murders of Jewish people over the years, there would still be beating in the other culture. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. And I think there's a satanic influence there. And I think there's a satanic influence behind wokeness, and Disney has bought in. What do you do with that? That's a conviction thing. That's a Romans 14 and elsewhere where, do you want to support a company that does this? That's up to you, because once again, if you go look at all the companies that support bad things, we would be eating very few foods and we'd be going to very few places. So we have to make that decision on, do I want to invest my money in a company that's obviously going a certain direction? They bought out Star Wars. I have a moral dilemma, right? I mean, this is the idea, is that Disney now has Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I grew up on Star Wars. Well, now Star Wars is Disney. And episode 9, there was a girl and girl kiss at the end of the movie. It's there in the background, but they put it in for a reason because Disney owns it now. So now it's like, well, great. Everything it's all gone. So is it satanic? I don't think I would say Disney is satanic, but I would say that in their current state, they're definitely being influenced by the wokeness that is definitely, I think, spiritually driven, satanically driven. It's being propelled by satanic forces. So there's an answer to that.